Welcome. This is AllMinucOne Quick Shots. So, quick takes on why you should vote for who you vote for. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. So, why should you vote for Donald Trump? Well, let me count the ways. And first off, historic peace agreements in the Middle East. Today, there was another peace agreement with the Sudan and Israel, and supposedly five other countries are going to be making certain agreements amongst themselves in Israel. This is unprecedented, folks. We haven't had major war in the Middle East since Donald Trump has been the president. Now, there has been military actions to clean up the leftovers of the past two administrations. So that is huge because for foreign policy, I am a major peace candidate. Number two, his negotiations with other nations to include North Korea. Now, many people, including Joe Biden himself yesterday, spoke of how Donald Trump is too friendly to, Kim Jong-un or whoever. That's just absurd. You want to be friendly. You want to keep peace relations up. If you recall, Ronald Reagan was friendly with Gorbachev and helped bring down the Soviet Union because of it. So if you talk to a person from South Korea, they are very happy with the things that Donald Trump has done. If you talk to people in the Middle East, they are very happy with what Donald Trump has done. Many people around the world very much like our president because he is very different than the normal foreign policy that gives America a very, very bad name. In fact, my wife and I have a friend who is traveling abroad right now in former Soviet bloc countries in the Middle East or Asia Minor. And he says he hears it all the time when they find out he's American. They're like, oh yeah, Donald Trump, good to go. So unless you feel like that we have some sort of moral righteousness to tell people in the Middle East how to live their lives and run things and, to bomb and murder them constantly, maybe you should vote for Joe Biden because he will probably continue war over there. In fact, if I recall correctly, under Barack Obama and Vice President Biden at the time, they allowed Libya to be completely destroyed, and now there's a slave trade there. And they allowed things to escalate into Syria, and things escalate within Iran. And we're not going to war with Iran, folks. I think that's just silliness anytime anyone brings that up. But Trump, used minimal military action, did what he had to do to basically say, hey, stop screwing with us. Stop screwing with people in this area. So that's a huge one. Another one is the foreign entanglements and foreign alliances that we have been in for a long time because of the Cold War. The Cold War is over, folks. If there is a Cold War going on now, it is within the United States, and it is the culture war, the Cold Civil War, as I like to call it. The Civil War amongst us that has a few skirmishes, mostly from radical left-wingers, revolutionary types who want to bring about a communist utopia. But back to the whole NATO issue. Well, people talk about NATO and Russia and da-da-da-da. Russia is not very powerful right now. They have influence because of their natural resources within the region. So the former Soviet satellites and parts of Europe are relying on Russian oil. However, the Middle East is oil rich as well. And so is America. So they're not the only ones to be concerned and worried about that. A lot of what has gone on in the past with foreign policy had to do with pipeline access and treaties and alliances and propping up Saudi Arabia, in their oil interest versus Russia's oil interest, and all these ridiculous political alliances that do not do good for anyone here at home in the United States. And it really doesn't help people in those foreign nations as well. So we've done all that, and all that should be over with. It's a bygone era, folks. Let's move on with our lives. Trump threatened to pull some troops out of NATO or Germany within NATO bases. The move is minimal. I did a video on this a while ago because the media went mad and crazy about it. Of course, the media would like us to go to war with Syria and Iran if they could, and probably North Korea. And whatever else because they're insane and devilish, if you would. So that's another one. Also recall with all this and the things that have happened with these historic peace agreements and the quelling of American military might, Donald Trump has been nominated 3 times for a Nobel Peace Prize, and deservedly so, I would say. But it doesn't matter because he can do nothing right in the eyes of the media. So there's those things. He moved the the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, their capital. Amazing. Amazing. Not Tel Aviv, but Jerusalem. A little thing. Imagine a Nazi helping out the Jews. It's mind-blowing. But we all know he is a bigot and a horrible man. Or perhaps the media are just a bunch of liars. So there is that. He's gotten rid of critical race theory within the federal government. Now, if you don't know, critical race theory has nothing to do with racial sensitivity training. Look, man, like everyone's moved past that stuff so long ago. The only people keeping it alive are the ones who want to club you over the head with it and tell people that they hate each other because of their race. Donald Trump needed to get rid of that because it is a Marxist ideology. All of its roots go into the cult of wokeness and intersectional feminism and postmodern neo-Marxist ideologies. It is meant to destroy the nation and tear people apart. It is not meant to bring people together. It is meant to give power to certain people who would relish in it. And he said, yeah, not going to do that. So that was a great move. Immigration. Well, I think the coronavirus kind of that quelled some immigration stuff. But, he's been trying to sort this thing out. And he was given a really bad deal because for administration after administration, since essentially Bill Clinton, the illegal immigration into the United States was insane. And we've had all kinds of welfare statewide, cities, counties, and even on the federal level that give into illegal immigration. And that's not good, folks, because what happens is when people immigrate here illegally and all that is they tend to not necessarily have a better life. They might have somewhat of a safer life, but they tend to struggle more. And then because of the nature of their illegal activity, there are other people who aren't necessarily good people, believe it or not, who get involved and can take advantage of them. So interestingly, the left on Twitter, the Twitterati, the other night were going insane about the use of the word coyote, including David Hogg, the Parkland kid who is just a complete insane, I don't know what he is, but he's just out of his mind, is all I know. In any case, coyotes are human traffickers. They're not animals in this case. It is a terminology used. It is a long-standing terminology used. These are the same people who like to say, educate yourself on this and that. They don't even know basic stuff. But then again, we do know, based on studies, that people who are on the left do not necessarily read things that the right puts out. Where people who are right-leaning or independent, such as myself, we look at everything. We examine everything. And I don't know how you can avoid anything that's on the left because they actually own all of the institutions and it's in your face all the time. So Donald Trump's done a good thing with that as far as the border wall, changing some of the laws. There was the separation policies, the kids in cages, all that stuff that he sort of hit on last night that was an Obama-era policy. Remember, Obama was known as the deporter-in-chief. I actually saw a graph on this the other day. There's been far less so under Donald Trump. But the fact that Donald Trump would try and stop it, see, the left has to go, oh, he's great. Look, he's a fascist. He's blah, blah, blah. It talks about the Muslim ban. There was no Muslim ban, folks. It was certain countries that essentially had terror problems. And we're like, well, we should probably worry about not allowing potential terrorists into our nation, or at least be able to vet these people. So none of this was craziness, how it is framed. So all that's a good thing. That's securing American borders. Now, stuff he's done that I don't like, I think he's allowed the national debt to go up in ways I don't like. But he fought against Congress with that. and Nancy Pelosi. And of course, when there were shutdowns, they made a whole big stink about it. Right now, you have Nancy Pelosi essentially holding economic stimulus from the American people so she can supposedly get a win. I don't know. I hope that old bat gets thrown out of office, but I doubt it will happen. Why she's there in the first place, I really don't understand. She's a multimillionaire, other than she really, really likes the power. So there is that. Again, no expansion of war. Donald Trump really is trying to bring home our troops from Afghanistan. He's getting a lot of pushback from the Pentagon. Now, a lot of people on the left will side with whatever that the left-wing media says. But 4 or 5 years ago, you were saying the same thing. Get rid of all this. Get rid of that. So I don't know what's wrong with you. But that stuff's crazy. So those are the main reasons why I'm going to be voting for Donald Trump. The other one would be, of course, the idea that he's trying to bring factories back to America, having fair trade deals with these global trade partnerships. He got rid of NAFTA, which NAFTA was meant literally to disincentivize American economic growth and have it expand elsewhere and eventually have our sovereignty go away. And you can say, yeah, Bill, you're a conspiracy theorist. Okay, well, read what people who were promoting NAFTA, like David Rockefeller, had to say about NAFTA. Folks, these plans are much bigger. I think he's done a decent job with the coronavirus. Now, unlike other people, I think that we shouldn't have locked down. There shouldn't have been as much panic. If you recall, the job approval of Trump and his likability was going up during the coronavirus daily briefings, and then the networks like MSN and CNN decided they weren't going to show it anymore because they knew it was helping him. And so that's what they do. They're playing this whole game. What's the biggest thing, the biggest factor that for me is that he's not one of the elite. And I'm really tired of it. And someone who's been aware of this for, 15 years now in my life, I'll be 40. So I was I'll be 40 at the beginning of the year. So I was pretty aware of this when I was young, very young, in my early, mid-20s. I figured this stuff out. And I really haven't seen a change in anything. And my political beliefs have moved a little bit here and there, but generally speaking, it's been the same thing. We are ruled by this oligarchy that doesn't follow the Constitution. It's been going on since FDR, and we've been at constant war in the United States forever. We're not focused on things here at home. And I see that the president has had a lot of opposition from people on both sides of the party who are part of that deep state, right? That entrenched state. And we see that from, the CIA, the FBI, the Pentagon, all of that stuff. And these people like the way business has been conducted. But again, we are not within the Cold War, and we need to stop moving toward this globalistic ideal of a one world order. It's not going to happen, folks. Well, I mean, it probably will happen eventually. I'm actually pessimistic about that, but it's not going to happen under Donald Trump, I hope. We need to get more sound monetary policy going on, but one thing that did help for all Americans was the tax cuts. So believe it or not, that put about $2,000 extra in the majority of Americans. I think 80% of Americans' pockets. I think that once this election's done, if the House flips, hopefully it does, and the Senate stays, we might actually be able to get some healthcare stuff done. I'd like to see a more deregulated market because healthcare is highly regulated and highly socialized in the United States. And that's actually why the costs are so high, not because it's a free market system. But there's only so much that can be done in a constitutional system with the federal government, at least if it's done appropriately. And I like that. I like the gridlock. I like that things aren't getting done to some degree. What I would like to see is things repealed. Donald Trump's done a lot of deregulation. I think that was rather good, but there's still regulations on the books that aren't the best. There's a lot of things. What really needs to be tackled is the Federal Reserve Bank, the Federal Reserve System. But again, that's going to be a very, very uphill battle. And I think Trump's mentioned it in the past, but the reality is that it's just not likely to be gone away anytime soon because there's a lot of old heads in the federal government that are just going to say that that's insane. And there's a lot of people in mega corporations who profit off that system despite it devaluing your money on an individual level. But with all that said, I've gone about 15 minutes, so this is a little bit longer than the normal quick shot. So I hope you guys take those things into consideration and, get out and vote or don't vote. Look, if you're not informed, don't go vote. Seriously, don't vote. Only vote if you know what you're talking about. The worst thing you can do is vote down party line thinking that your people are the best, and they're not. They might have the worst interest at heart, but because they have the proper letter by their name, you're going to go vote, and that's a horrible thing to do, folks. So this has been All Minus One Quick Shots, and I wish you all well.